Our first guest is here today to give us the latest news from the world of politics and those making headlines. We welcome political reporter Mona Salama. Welcome.
Hi, what's going on?
All right, so we're going to talk about today that Bernie has finally endorsed Hillary Clinton. What's your take on that?
I felt like he backstabbed his supporters. Like, he was so against her, and, you know, was trying to make a point that, like, it was a political revolution and Hillary was the establishment. And then all of a sudden, he says that he got what he wanted with this platform that they had over the weekend with the DNC. And he only got, like, what, maybe 60% of what he wanted. He never got the TPP, and he never got about fracking. He only got about universal health care and federal minimum wage increase of $15. But he says it's like a progressive agenda moving forward. Now that she has to keep, if she gets elected, she has to promise within the first 100 days that she can pass this type of legislation. But like with his supporters, I just think it was like a backstabbing, and like you look on like social media and then you ask a lot of college kids, they're like, what happened? This was supposed to be our guy.
But I mean, what can people really expect? Did he not support her at all? Did he continue to run on another platform and not actually get elected and leave the door open more for Trump to be elected? Is that?
Well, he could have either run third party, because he was really a third party candidate. He's really independent. He's a democratic socialist. Or he could have joined forces with the Green candidate, Jill. Or he could have just remained silent. Like, you know, if you look at the Republican side, Ted Cruz, you know, even though they came out and not supported him, they remained quiet and waited to see what would happen later on.
I can see that. I mean, they, like you said, he did get some concession. I don't know that anybody's ever going to get 100% of concession, because then Hillary also has to remember that she has to maintain some sort of like, okay, well, I'm in control here. And if she does a complete 180, then her supporters are going to be like, well, what's happening here too? So it becomes a bit of a balance. But you also mentioned off camera about Donald Trump's tweet of the year.
Yeah, so the best tweet that he wrote was, Bernie Sanders endorsing Hillary Clinton is like Occupy Wall Street endorsing Goldman Sachs. And I think that was the best tweet ever, because it's the truth. Like, you know, he was so against everything she stood for, and he went and said, I'm backing her. So it was like a big, like, what's going on?
Right. But what is going on with the self-proclaimed law and order candidate, Mr. Trump?
Well, Mr. Trump right now is looking for his VP candidate. Like Monday, we had to Cleveland, the Republican Party. So he's making this big thing on Friday, announcing his VP. He's really looking forward to Mike Pence from governor of Indiana. So he's really like vetting these candidates. And there's been talks of Newt Gingrich and also Governor Chris Christie and retired General Mike Flynn, but he said there's 10 candidates, where the other 6.
Right. So
he still has like 2 more days to make this whole weekend about VP before we start Monday.
You had some concerns about Newt Gingrich though, and even the candidates you mentioned at all.
Well, because I feel like I like Newt Gingrich, especially what he's done in the past when I was young. As you can see, like in the audience, they're like I was their age. But like, I think we need, as a Republican Party, our biggest weakness is diversity. So I think we need to have a diversity. Either have like counter Hillary Clinton, have a woman VP candidate, or a minority candidate, or someone different. Someone that where the name and like recognition would be different, but still be a political figure.
I mean, but the past few choices that people have had of like women candidates for the Republican Party have not been exactly the greatest choices in the world. Who could they look to for, let's say, a woman in the Republican Party?
Well, you know, New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez, she was like the top favorite. I don't know if he's vetted her or even talked to her, because I remember when it was a New Mexico primary, he did say something like blaming her for the increase of welfare in her state. So he kind of did like attack her. But there's Carly Fiorina is like, she was Cruz's VP, so I don't think he wants that. I think she was like a curse to his candidacy. But you can also look at like maybe Senator Ted Cruz, you know. That could be a possible pick. They actually spoke last week when Trump was in DC. Maybe they didn't disclose about VP or anything or endorsement, but maybe they're talking about that. That could really unite the Republican Party, especially the Never Trump movement, because they're most of them are Cruz supporters, and they don't believe Trump is a conservative. So if that was to coalesce, that would be a very strong force with the conservative and the Republican Party together.
But then wouldn't that also be then, again, another just oxymoron in Trump's like litany of things to do, like to go with Lion Ted, as he called him, and make him his VP?
Well, it was a brutal primary, and like, you know, when Marco dropped out and it was okay with him, he actually said, you know, I didn't mean to call him Little Marco. I think like during a primary, it's always a political strategy of always weaken your opponent so, you know, voters can vote for you and make the other person drop out. And when, you know, he becomes the eventual nominee, the rivals will either talk about it and then just be like, bygones be bygones, as you can see with Bernie and Hillary yesterday. You know, they attacked each other. They didn't attack it as much as like the Republicans did, but he really went after her, that Trump is using it against her.
Yeah, but I mean, in the way that the Trump goes after his opponents was more of like a Mean Girls kind of way. Like he calls people names, kind of sets the mood and kind of adds gossip, fuel to the gossip fire. Whereas even Hillary and Bernie kind of pointed out that they had more of a political campaign. They didn't run a campaign of smearing each other personally. They really went for the issues, and it became about the issues. So I mean, it seems a little hard for people to get over, you know, that Mean Girls mentality, and then all of a sudden we're buddy-buddy, and you're always going to assume that that person's going to stab you in the back. Is that something that they should be worried about?
Well, like, Trump has a outgoing personality. He's very brash. He's straight to your face. He'll tell you how it is. And the voters really love that about him. So when he was saying Lion Ted, Little Marco, low energy jab, the voters loved it. His supporters were enthusiastic about it. And that's what really walled up the base. And that's how he got 14 million voters coming out for him. I think in order to unite the party, especially either side, it's like you have to let bygones be bygones, or we're going to be defeated. Republicans, when we unite, we can win. When we're divided, we lose.
As any other house, right?
Yeah.
Divided we stand. Divided we fall. Together we stand. So he actually, Trump laid out a 10-point plan. Did you read about this?
Yeah, he had a veterans conference on Monday, right? Yeah, Monday, right after the Dallas thing. It was supposed to be on Friday in Florida, but then the Dallas shooting, you know, rest in peace to the 5 officers, and it got pushed on to Monday. So he announced a 10-point plan of reforming the VA system. You know, the VA system is very corrupt and very broken. Like, you know, you have the higher-ups getting bonuses, and then our veterans, 22 are dying a day and not getting the treatment that they deserve, and they have to go to a hospital like 40 miles away, for example. They can't just go to like right here, what, St. Barnabas is here, or like.
I mean, there's a VA hospital right on University here.
Yeah, but I like imagine like if you live in like South Bronx, you would have to go all the way up there instead of just going to like, you know, Bronx, Lebanon, or like Montefiore or something like that. So he wants to like reform that, where like the veterans have a choice to go wherever it takes, and then the government can pay for it because it still would be within the plan. And basically working within the VA system, make sure it's not corrupt, and reforming it and firing the ones that are, you're not hurting the veterans, and having opening a 24-hour hotline for veterans to call. Because if you ever actually do call the 24-hour hotline, they put you on hold. It's worse than like calling your phone company to things like that.
Please hold.
Yeah, please hold, and then with the music, and then they send you around the world, and next thing you know, you're in India talking to them.
Oh my goodness gracious. So you actually are going to the RNC, right?
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to seeing there?
I'm looking just to see what's this all about, the whole general and things like that, how it's all run, and who's going to speak, how is the party going to unite? Because I know Rubio said he's not going now, but Rubio has 173 delegates that he should be there and thanking. Like Cruz said, I'm going there to thank my supporters and the 500 plus delegates that he had. Thank you for, you know, sticking by me. He should go there, and he's using an excuse of campaigning, but nobody really campaigns in the summer.
Right.
So.
Well, it'll be electrifying to say the least.
It'll be electrifying, a lot of work.
Thank you so much for your time. We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll find out about an event that you won't want to miss.